Welcome back to the Metro on 1019 WDET FM, Detroit Public Radio. I'm Tia Graham. And so little is discussed about the change. That's right, I'm talking about menopause. It's something that's often held close to a woman's chest, a secret that only she knows. While some do share their experiences, many women continue to struggle with finding community when preparing for and enduring menopause. So what is menopause? It's a biological process when a menstruating woman no longer has periods. Each woman experiences the stage differently, whether it's with hot flashes or sleep problems or even a low libido. But all menstruating women will experience menopause. It's just a matter of when. A new comedy special aims to tackle the inevitable process with laughter. Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale is a stand-up storytelling concert by multidisciplinary artist, storyteller, and social entrepreneur Satori Shakoor. And I'm smiling right now because I have you here, and I just saw clips of that special, and I laughed out loud. Shakoor is the founder and executive producer of the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers, host of PBS's Detroit Performs, and the special, which was taped at Detroit Public Theater, will be available to stream this Thursday, June 12th. Joining us now to talk more about Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale is the woman of the hour herself, Satori Shakoor. Satori, welcome to the Metro.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tia, WDET. I feel like I'm home.
Oh, I love that so much. I've seen you perform so many times before, whether it is watching Detroit Performs or watching you out live whenever I'm just walking around and there you are performing, telling a story in such a passionate way. So let's talk about the comedy special you performed and recorded at Detroit Public Theater, Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale. What's the backstory? The one thing that stood out was you had a panic attack, which helped you gain perspective. So what stood out about you wanting to tell this story?
Well, why I wanted to tell the story was a promise I made to my younger self when I was entering the perimenopause, which is that stage just before menopause. And I was experiencing all these symptoms, and they were scary to me: palpitating heart, night sweats, hot flashes, mood swings, insomnia, you name it. I just didn't recognize myself. Yeah. So when I went to ask my mother, she knew, she said, well, this is the beginning of the change of life.
Hold on, because I actually have that clip of you performing that during the stand-up, so here we are.
I feel sad. Sad? Why? Don't know. Don't feel like me. One minute I'm laughing. The next I'm crying. Cramps so bad they make me vomit. And I'm gushing buckets of blood, night sweats and tears. My bed sheets look like a crime scene, Mama. And at night, my heart beats real fast, like it wants to palpitate right out of my chest. It's scary. Oh, you at the beginning of the change of life. I am? Well, that's what it sounds like to me.
And when I heard that, I just thought it's rare for you to hear a woman speak about it in that way. Like, my bed looks like a crime scene. We know that talking to one another, but to hear it in a way that's going to be broadcast to multiple audiences is like, okay, this is a real thing. So let's just talk about that conversation you had with your mom. Right.
Well, when I ask her, because I'm looking for support, I'm looking for some kind of explanation that says, okay, that's normal. You're okay. It's all right. Don't be scared. And she's like, well, I don't remember. And I'm like, what? Because my mother was 50 when I was 14, and it was like she was Dracula. Yeah. She was sucking all the fun out of my teenage life. My little 32 bees were trying to poke me in my eye, and hers were trying to touch her toes. Yeah. And so we were on opposite spectrums of, I'm coming into my full womanhood. She's going into menopause, where she doesn't have to be bothered with periods or children or anything like that. So we were on different opposite ends. So I started asking other women, older women, and they would say, oh, I'm too young, which clearly they weren't, but they didn't want to age or date themselves. And then there were women who said, I refuse to go through menopause. And I was wondering, how is that going to happen if you're lucky enough to live? So there was really actually no support until I watched Oprah, and she had a doctor on, Dr. Christian Northrup, and I immediately bought her book. But of course, I couldn't afford hormone replacement therapy. I didn't even want to take pharmaceuticals. So I felt abandoned, alone. And so I made a promise that when I went through this on the other side, I was going to write about it, and I was going to leave something for women coming behind me so that they wouldn't be in the dark. Now, I was in a show called Menopause the Musical. It was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of joy and celebration and support. But outside the theater, there was still this deafening silence. Women still wanted to be young and perky because, the patriarchal system says you don't really have that much value unless you're juicy, you're perky, and you're submissive, and you don't know as much as me, and so you're not that relevant. And I thought, that's kind of crazy. You lived this long, you've had this much life experience, and now you're supposed to sit in a rocking chair with your glasses on your nose and babysit your grandchildren. This is the time. Women are powerful. We're running for the presidency. We've got Governor Whitmore, which I'm working with the Michigan Women's Commission, and Governor Whitmore, Halle Berry, and 60 other women we met at the mansion. And we have a commitment to go across the state of Michigan, making women aware of menopause and getting funding because there is literally no health insurance for half the population of the United States going through this phase of life, and it can get serious.
And this conversation is really one that I am excited to have because my mom, we actually have really open conversations about menopause and what it looks like and some of the things that she's been going through and continue to go through. And, that's something that I really, really do cherish, that we have these open, honest conversations. Mm-hmm. But as well, I just think about, how odd it is to hear these conversations happening. And like you said, just based on the system that we have, once you do get out of certain circles, it no longer happens and it kind of just falls into the wayside. But me bringing my mom into this, the medicine and trying to find ways around or trying to find ways to make yourself feel better or just to help with some of the symptoms, mm-hmm. It's not covered. I don't even think it's a category.
No, and doctors really have only 1 hour of training in menopause. So more doctors have to be created. More doctors have to be influenced to take this path because we're talking about the largest demographic in the United States with 2 million women entering menopause every single day. And the symptoms show up differently in different women. Some women have had hysterectomies or they've had fibroids, all kind of things that women don't talk about. And I imagine if the largest demographic in the United States are women in some stage of menopause, imagine the community, imagine the support, imagine the power of women talking to each other. So I wanted to make the film to get the conversation started. If I talk about things that are taboo, because I talk about more than menopause, I talk about postpartum depression, sex, sexuality, relationships, owning your own power, finding what you love to do, no matter what. So I think menopause should be a rite of passage. It should be like a bat mitzvah. It should be a menopause mitzvah. And people should party up and down. And
Okay, you've already given me an idea for if I make it to that age and I make it there, that's what I want to do. I want to throw a party. Thank you. Thank you. You just put it in my mind. I hope you just put that into so many other women's minds as well. Yes. Celebrate this part because you were able to live long enough to experience it. And I do want to talk about that because I love that that's something that one of my questions here was talk about the privilege of aging and having these experiences and being able to go through it and share your experiences with others.
Well, the privilege of aging is being able to stand in your truth, standing in your power unapologetically. You do not have to perform. You do not have to hold on to fake friendships, and you don't have to worry about all those things. You are responsible now. And so if you want people to count on you to tell the truth, to be honest, and you don't have to be less powerful, or I don't know, and perform for. Now, I'm not saying anything is wrong with men or individual men, but there is a system called It's a Man's World. And so therefore there are certain requirements, roles that women and men have to play socially and politically in that particular paradigm. And I don't think that men particularly like to be told how they should be, because every man doesn't want to be an alpha and do all of the man things, not have access to all of their feelings, have to hide certain feelings to be considered masculine. And women don't want to be held to that either. We want to be our full and fully expressive selves. So, women coming out of the closet, owning their own power, will show the world who we really are. And then men can go, oh, I like you like that. You don't have to be smaller than me. Let's put our power together and have a better world.
Man. Speaking truth right now. And, we're talking about Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale, a stand-up storytelling event. Our guest is Satori Shakoor, a multidisciplinary artist, storyteller, and social entrepreneur. Now, I do want to ask about one of the subtitles, which says the show is an unfiltered journey through aging, empowerment, and life beyond hot flashes. Aging as a woman is not for the weak, okay? We know, we were just talking about it. Once you start to get a little bit older, the quote-unquote your value decreases. There's so many different things that tell us in this society as we get older as women that we no longer are important. So what has aging taught you about the strength that women possess?
Well, I don't think it's true that our value decreases. I think that's a myth, and it's a social expectation. Go sit down in the corner. But why would I live this much life, gain this much wisdom, then be quiet about what I've learned? I mean, I just don't understand that. So it's only been later in life that the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers came to me to found and to present storytellers all over Detroit. We've had George Clinton, the late Dick Gregory, Naomi Madgett Long, senators, everyday people who come out and tell their stories and add value to the listeners. That was later in life while I was going through menopause. Now making this film, telling my own story, another journey that I took later in life. So I think later in life you find more confidence. The things that you dream to do, you realize there's a ticking clock on that. You better act now. And there's no reason to delay because you've gained enough life experience. You have enough skills that you can cross-section. And hopefully you've made relationships. And even though you don't know what you don't know, you don't know. you know that you can find it and for support. So I think aging is a privilege, especially since we don't have to be old and aging. Exactly. We can be youthful, we can be beautiful, and we don't have to apologize if we are considered old.
And I do want to get to something about not apologizing. I do want to talk about the story you pulled out about dating and being too much, quote unquote. I want to throw it to this clip.
My screams are a release of joy and grief. I'm in love. I'm in love. But 3 months later, he says, Satori, you're too much for me. You talk too much. You're too intense. And I've never met anyone who shares all her feelings. I just want to be complacent. Okay? I can't handle a girlfriend right now. Well, at first his words, they hurt me. Take the wind right out of my sails. I'm too much. But I knew he was telling the truth. And the truth is we were just a 3-month, one-night stand. And then it sinks in what he's saying. He says that I'm too much. He says I talk too much. He thinks I'm too intense. And he's never met anyone who shares all her feelings.
I put this clip out because, number one, I think a lot of women, especially the women who have been told they're too much or talk too much or too loud or too this and too that, which I've gotten before in life. It really, and then you started to sing. I said, most of us, that's how we have those type of conversations with ourselves. We may be talking and then we break out singing, or we might break out doing something else. Can you just talk about how you were able to tell this story in such a raw and honest way, and as well, how you handle rejection as you aged?
Well, I thought I was being rejected, but this was right after I had come back from grief and loss. And he was telling me I was too much, and I had just come back from death. So to me, he was telling me, he was giving me a measurement.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm too much. That means I'm not dead. I'm not complacent. I'm alive. So I tell him, well, if you think I'm too much, then you have my mother and my son and my menopausal hormones to thank, because I'm going for being way too much. I'm going for being over the top alive. I'm going for kissing the lips off the face of life and everybody in it because I'm alive. He gave me a gift by saying I was too much, because too much means that you're fully alive, and I don't want to just breathe till I give up this meat suit. I want to live, okay?
Yes. And before I do let you go, what would you tell women who may be in perimenopausal, or right now maybe newly entering to menopause, or just been in it for a minute?
I would say that your body is functioning in just the way it's supposed to function. This is the time of life where you're no longer going to be worried about getting pregnant, if you're worried about that. I mean, if you're 50, 55, 60, maybe you want to crawl around and run around with a little kid, but this is a time where your reproductive system is going on vacation forever. And so enjoy this next stage of life. I would say use your powerful voice to demand that the medical profession pay attention to you. Talk to your doctor. If there's because some symptoms look like something else, but pursue with your doctor. And if they don't know, ask them for referrals, because there are organizations that dedicate themselves to this subject and this topic and these women. And the Michigan Women's Commission is having an event in Ann Arbor on June 13th, this Friday. And women have come to other town halls, and you can't even get them out the room. They're asking so many questions. They want to talk. It's an opportunity, first opportunity they've had to open up and share, because now it's a relief. Oh, my goodness, this thing that's been plaguing me, bothering me, now I can talk about it. I can talk about it amongst other women, and it's a safe place. And I want every place to be safe for women to be women and talk about whatever women want to talk about.
Satori Shakoor is an artist, storyteller, and social entrepreneur. She's the founder and executive producer of the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers and the host of PBS's Detroit Performs. Her new comedy special, Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale, is streaming this Thursday, June 12th on Amazon Prime, Apple TV Plus, and Google Play. Satori, thank you so much for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you, Tia. I've had a ball.
Coming up, reporter Erin Mondry found Detroit quietly abandoned its landmark landlord lawsuits that's raising questions about transparency, accountability, and housing justice. We'll be right back on the Metro. You all stay right there.